What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp. Welcome to Fightful. It is your AEW All Out and Wrestlepalooza post show, your All Out a Palooza post show. Hopefully, I can get my camera in focus here. Maybe not. I don't know. You would think, but by God, here we are. We're going to talk AEW All Out. We're going to talk Wrestlepalooza. For today, we're going to start off with AEW All Out, then get to Wrestlepalooza afterwards. We will have timestamps for those of you that are watching on like in demand, so to speak, if you're watching after the fact or if you're listening on audio. So we're just going to attack it in order, so to speak. Now, I want you to leave a thumbs up on this video. Please subscribe. Check us out everywhere. Most importantly, Fightful.com. If you see transcripts, if you're on Facebook and you see somebody post quotes, there's probably like a 90% chance we transcribed it and had it on our website well before. But we are all over the place. Please support us. We had an incredible scoops thread on FightfulSelect.com today. It's only $5.99 a month. You can also save by subscribing for a year. I know some of you might say, why on earth would I pay for wrestling news? It is accurate wrestling news. It is direct wrestling news. You're not getting it second, third, fourth hand, anything like that. We had a monster scoops thread today. We have a bonus review on Fightful Select right now. We have Discord access nonstop, and we're going to be adding a lot more in the coming year. So I would suggest that you lock in your year-long prices. Do that ahead of the new year. But my God, let's talk about AEW, WWE. Lots of stuff happening tonight. If you want your questions or statements read on the air, send in a super chat here at youtube.com/Fightful, or you can go to humperchats.com. Maybe you're listening on Twitter, on Facebook, one of those platforms. You can go to humperchats.com. That's HUMPER chats.com, like a camel's hump, or when you hump someone you are attracted to. It's a good time, guys. Lots to get into tonight. Also, I did media yesterday for by God, Wrestlepalooza. Interviewed the Usos, which isn't out yet. It's evergreen. Io Sky and Stephanie Vacker. We had Gates of Agony on In the Weeds this week. It's been a good time. It's been a really good time. Man, my heart was a little bit torn today. Anybody who's watched this show for any extended period of time knows that, man, besides Lexington, Kentucky, where I live, Toronto is my favorite city in the world. I love it. It's a second home to me. One of the most beautiful places on earth. Wanted to be there tonight. Really, really did. But, with two shows, had to be at home. But the other show was in Indianapolis, which has become like a fourth or fifth home to me. I'm there a lot, too. So was pulled in a little bit of different directions there. But we're here to talk about pro wrestling. And I got to say, 8+ hours of pro wrestling was a good day. It was a good day. A long day of wrestling beats a good day of almost anything else for me, my friends. I'm just really excited to talk about it. We had the 0 hour. I don't think it was a tailgate brawl is what it was called. So FightfulSelect.com reported that this would be a WBD exclusive, and there would be a different pre-show for those like on YouTube and all that stuff. So we had the Ops defeating the Workhorsemen. Very quick match. Not a lot to that one. A lot more went into Daniel Garcia defeating Shibata, and I like that because Daniel Garcia definitely needed a big win upon joining the Death Riders, although I'm sort of side-eyeing that right now and saying, like, what are his true motivations? What's going on there? We haven't seen him participate in a whole lot of, like, crazy stuff right now. So I'm keeping my eye on Daniel Garcia. I thought this was a good technical match. I like Marina helping him up. If you all didn't see Marina Shafir's promo at Defy, ooh, it was good. It's exactly the kind of promo you would want to hear out of Marina Shafir. She said that her own household even doubted her, and she just shut up and did the work and got better. It was so good, man. So good. Daniel Garcia wins with that surfboard stomp. I just love that move. If you can pull it off and keep your balance and make it look like he makes it look, it's going to go a long way. It was a really good match to have on that pre-show. And I say that thinking, okay, well, the Ops probably need to defend their trios titles a little bit more often. But Daniel Garcia getting a win over somebody like Shibata, I'm fine with. We had Paragon and Hologram, the Paragon-agglomeration defeating the Frat House. This could have been literally anywhere else. It's all right. It was fine. It was a way to highlight Hologram and to show that Roderick Strong still isn't necessarily sold on doing stuff with other people. Kyle Fletcher, Kyle O'Reilly has been really leaning into, oh yeah, let's do this stuff with the conglomeration. I know these guys. I like these guys. They're my buddies. But Roddy's not sold because, like, listen, they tried to add people and bring people back, and there'd be the Kingdom and sometimes Bobby Fish and sometimes Adam Cole and now the conglomeration. And I think that Roddy just wants to be a tag team with Kyle O'Reilly. And one of my favorite things about this week is that a lot of people remember just how good Roderick Strong is, because that man can go. But this sort of played into something a little bit later on. We had a big plunder match on the pre-show. Harley Cameron, Mina Shirakawa, Queen Aminata, Willow Nightingale defeating Megan Bayne, Penelope Ford, and the Sisters of Sin, Julia Hart, and Sky Blue. So Tony Khan is supposed to make a big announcement or make an important announcement on Wednesday. My hope is that it is finally women's tag team titles. Because if this match doesn't show you that you can do that, I don't know what can. And like people are saying, bring Britt Baker back, bring Britt back. Listen, put her with Deanna. Assuming all is well there. Don't know. I haven't really heard if they've got a relationship these days still or not. But you've got teams that can do stuff. I would love to see Nyla and Harley Cameron actually team up. You got Megan and Penelope. You do have the Sisters of Sin. Aminata and anybody is a good matchup as well. I think that you can really do something here, and I hope it is women's world tag titles. I have been beating this drum for so long. I don't want it to be AEW women's tag titles. I want them to be world women's tag titles. That way, if for some reason you're like, oh man, we don't have that much time for the women's tag titles on this show for the next however long, they can go over to ROH. You can do stuff there, and it will make sense. You can, like maybe New Japan's doing a US show, which they haven't seemed to do in quite a while. You take them over there. You have them defended against a Japanese team. I think it'd be very good. I think that's the way to go. But Harley, Mina, Queen Aminata win that, and that wrapped up the tailgate brawl. We kick off the actual pay-per-view with just a beautiful taste of Canada, which was quite frankly a great local thing to do to really heat up the crowd for this opening match with Cope and Christian defeating FTR. And there were surprises aplenty on this, all over the place. Like you had Wendell Clark, Toronto Maple Leafs legend. Then they turned the corner and Bubbles of Trailer Park Boys fame is there. Then they turn the corner again and the Green Bastard is there. For those of you that don't know your Trailer Park Boys lore, that is an alter ego of Bubbles. And they were letting the F-bombs fly here. They were taking full advantage of that HBO pay-per-view, my friend. They really were. I enjoyed this match a lot more than the online reaction seemed to, which honestly, that seemed to be the theme of the night. Maybe I've got a lower bar there, but I was in a good mood after that Green Bastard bit, buddy. After getting Bubbles on the screen, what a phenomenal piece of just Canadian lore to have there. What a great way to open that up. That's just top notch. An A+ cameo to pop people was Bubbles and the Green Bastard. And of course, Wendell Clark too, even though, that is of Cope and Christian's era. I think he had retired by the time like they were really getting their run in. I think he retired in 2000, if I know my Maple Leafs history appropriately. But I enjoyed this match. I thought Christian was really great. Christian asking how everybody's father was doing. You had Cope and Christian, which I think he's just back to Adam Copeland. I'm fine with Cope. I liked Cope. It was okay. But they trade finishers. Cope does the unprettier, which is one of the most unpractical finishing moves in history. Christian does the spear. What I really loved was Cope doing the homage to John Cena after not only did John Cena do the homage to Cope, but he then went on his Instagram and like clarified after Michael Cole was saying, "Oh my gosh, Roman Reigns, he's paying homage to the big dog." But Cope did the attitude adjustment, and I think also what used to be the proto bomb and then used to be the spinning belly to back suplex and then just became a lazy backdrop. He did the five knuckle shuffle there as well. But a phenomenal part of this match, as Stokely Hathaway plays the heel here and yanks the referee out and does all that, we have music hit and we don't know who it is, but Stokely's watching intently. And if you're going to have somebody come out to unidentifiable music, they've got to live up to the hype. They've got to deliver on that. And they did. The former Beth Phoenix, they announced her as Beth Copeland. Her Tron just said Beth. Came out, got a good reaction, put a beat down on Stokely, carried him off, which is such a great shout. Her carrying Stokely off was just wonderful. Don't know what her status is moving forward, but I'm hoping that, she hangs around, does some more stuff, because this has been a long time coming, right? Like, we've been waiting for this to happen for maybe 2 years since Cope came back. I don't know what the status of her WWE deal was throughout that period, but she is without one now and doing stuff for AEW. But I really enjoyed this match, really had a good time with it. And I Cope and Christian are one of my favorite tag teams of all time. I've mentioned before, my first favorite wrestler was Marty Jannetty and Too Cold Scorpio. Those were my first two. Go figure. But then in like 98, 99, I was like, man, well, both of those guys are kind of gone now. They had pretty much reached the end of their mainstream wrestling road. I was like, I need a new favorite wrestler. And Edge was that guy. And as time went on, I really loved Christian. I thought he was so funny. One of my favorite performers ever. And them as a team, man, I was a kid. I don't even know how I knew how to use Napster, but I was downloading their promos on Napster. Insane. So after the match, after Cope and Christian win, Kip Sabian comes out. And this is after Kill Switch had left him out to dry a couple days ago. Nick Wayne is in a wheelchair. He's still not healthy yet. And they end up handcuffing Cope. And we got Beth trying to get him out. And she knows what's behind her. She knows FTR right behind her. And I love that she just started to swing on him, bro. She just started to slug. Started throwing down. Love that, because that's what Beth Phoenix would do, right? Conspicuous by his absence was the Green Bastard. Where's he at? The Green Coward, more like it. Where's the Green Bastard at? After all that shit he talked, dropping F-bombs, the moment he showed up, he can't come out there and help too? He couldn't put a stop to anybody? Where are you, Green Bastard? It's your time to shine. You've waited for this moment, and you blew it, buddy. You blew it. Love what Beth Phoenix did. Then she got pile drive. It's a great piece of heat, man. Great piece of heat. Hope they do a 6-man tag. Hope they do that. Hey, maybe they'll do Blood and Guts and the Green Bastard will join them then. There we go. But a 6-person tag makes an awful lot of sense for what we are going to see here. But I'll tell you what else makes sense after a night like this. Making sure you get a full night's sleep. It's been a long day. It's been a long night. So when I go to bed tonight, I know I'm going to wake up tomorrow well rested because I've got Helix Sleep. I used Helix Sleep before they were even a partner with Fightful. 5 years ago, I wanted a new mattress. I was tired of compromising my sleep for the sake of a few bucks. So I wanted to invest. I searched out the best mattress reviews, and I found, at the time, over 20,000 5-star reviews at Helix Sleep. I took their sleep quiz, got matched up to the Dusk Lux model, and I've been sleeping good ever since. Shortly after that, I contacted them. I said, I want to help people get good sleep as well. And now we've got helixsleep.com/Fightful. Always have a great deal over there right now. They have the extended Labor Day deal, 27% off any purchase for a limited time using the code FIGHTFUL. You get a 100-night sleep trial, and if for some reason you don't want it after that 100 nights, they're going to come back and pick it up, but you're going to want to. Trust me, that slab of memory foam I was sleeping on before, it compromised so much by the way of sleep, happiness, just in general, functioning the next day, and helixsleep.com/Fightful has changed that. It's not just me saying it. Good Housekeeping is saying it. GQ saying it. New York Times is saying it. Forbes and Wired are saying it. And also now 50,000 plus 5-star reviews are saying it. Think about that. Just a couple years ago when I bought this, they had like 20,000 5-star reviews. It's up to over 50,000 now. helixsleep.com/Fightful. You're going to spend ideally a third of your life in bed anyway. Make sure you invest in your sleep with helixsleep.com/Fightful. Cope and Christian still have it. I was very pleased with that. Was not pleased with Eddie Kingston versus Big Bill. This match was not good. This match was not good. I'm going to chalk it up to ring rust, as we have seen, especially in AEW, some of their methods of which they bring people back, which they brought back Saraya after how long she had been out. She was rusty, right? Threw her right into big matches. They brought back Britt Baker last year. They gave her a couple reps. She faced Mercedes, clearly rusty. They brought back Riho, and she wasn't rusty tonight, but boy, on that tag match, rusty. So it's good that they got her some reps. There was rust tonight. And I love the way that this started with Eddie Kingston coming right back in. I'm glad Eddie Kingston is back. AEW Women's Division blog. I saw you in the front row. I saw you in the front row with your AEW.1 shirt, by the way. He says, that was my counter program these nuts sign. I am thrilled that Eddie Kingston's back. Very glad that he's back, but this just was not a good match. And I chalk it up to ring rust. There was like a back fist no sell that was like, all right. There was a spot where Big Bill dropped Eddie Kingston and didn't pin him. And even Danielson's like, pin the man. What's going on? The crowd just was not into this. There was a roll up where there was no weight on the shoulders. Any roll up where there's no weight on the legs or shoulders just drives me nuts, man. Like, why would the person sit there? Then when Big Bill turned around, Eddie Kingston missed the back fist badly enough to where Tony Schiavone immediately said, that missed. And they went to the pin after that. Wasn't good. And rarely do I see a match like this out of an Eddie Kingston. And I would imagine after Eddie Kingston goes back and watches this, we are not going to see a match like this out of Eddie Kingston. I feel bad for the person who faces Eddie Kingston next, Because this much I promise you, Eddie Kingston is not going to whiff on a spinning back fist again. That is not going to be happening. He certainly didn't when Brian Keith came in there. And they did bring up the history of Brian Keith and Eddie Kingston, how Eddie Kingston was in the ring when he got hired. But this was a bad match. This was a rare, just bad match on AEW pay-per-view. And somebody said he's going to be the new Mox opening the show every week. Eddie is going to want to wrestle like Wednesday, I would imagine. And that's not like, I don't know him a great deal, but interacting with him, I can tell you his personality type is that this shit means something to him. It always means something to him. So I'm going to imagine that he is going to take this and just man up and go out there and have really good performances for a while after this. But I mean, there has definitely been a track record of rust in AEW. Now, the lights went out, and traditionally when the lights go out, you're expecting like a big surprise, something like that. We get the Hook sign, and there is like no reaction to the Hook sign. And I don't really think it's Hook's fault. It's just that it's been so stop and start with his push. And I do think that this is the right direction for Hook. I absolutely do. I love that they've got the sign. I love that we're seeing him on a more consistent basis. I like that after we saw that promo where Hook said, maybe it's time to go off on my own. And then he said, or maybe not. And he's coming out helping another New York guy. Listen, having learned from Samoa Joe, okay, Hobbs was a pretty solid fit there, right? Like Hobbs is a good one to have in the ops. But Eddie Kingston and Hook, I think, are a really good pairing. It's just the crowd didn't react hardly at all to it. Like, there was not an appropriate reaction for Hook. Whereas, like, a few years ago, man, he debuted and people were just going crazy for him. But now we're in a situation, for better or for worse, where Hook has had, by this Wednesday, he will have had 11 matches in the last year. He's got to wrestle more. Dude's got to wrestle more. That's the long and short of it. And this crowd was also very, like, uninspired. There's an interview that Jerry Lynn did in the 2000s that always stuck with me. And he said that a lot, like, the ROH crowd would just sit there and kind of be like, impress me. That's how I kind of felt this crowd was. Like, I know there is, a great sort of, should I say, status symbol of going to Toronto and doing Scotiabank Arena. I love Scotiabank Arena. I stay right next to it every time I go to Toronto. Love the area. But man, the Coca-Cola Coliseum, even though it's on a wonky end of town, and if you go there, you got to stay at Hotel X. But like, it's a good, like, environment. It sounds a little bit better as well. But also, I know that doing their attendance record in Canada and for All Out was very important to them. But this match and the reaction to the post-match was disappointing. However, I would imagine the disappointment surrounding Eddie Kingston's return to go away very quickly. And I would imagine that the Eddie Kingston Hook pairing is probably going to be a very fun one. That's what I'm expecting. Drop a thumbs up on this video, guys. It would mean an awful lot. Please subscribe. Not just here, FightfulSelect.com. If you don't follow me on Facebook, I swear it is 2025. I'm having a good time over there, guys. I am debunking a lot of fake news. Like, it gets bad on a lot of platforms, but like, at least on Reddit, if you tell somebody this is wrong, if you tell a mod, they'll usually pull it. On Twitter, you can quote tweet somebody. It's been going unchecked on Facebook for a long time, and I have been debunking a lot of stuff. And over on FightfulSelect.com, every Friday, we do a rumor roundup now and a debunkathon. So if you're into that type of stuff, subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. On FightfulSelect.com recently, we have reported a couple of stories around MJF and Mark Briscoe. A couple of months ago, we reported that this was a program that MJF pushed for very heavily. It was a dream program for him to work Mark Briscoe. He was a big fan of the Briscoes coming up, and this is something that he really, really wanted to do. That's why when I had Denise on the hump this week and we made our predictions, I said, you know, Denise, I don't doubt that MJF puts over Mark Briscoe. I felt like that was a direction this could go because MJF truly cares about the wrestling business. And if you had any doubt that MJF cared about the wrestling business, you could take a look at his insane travel schedule. He got married on a Friday, went to Collision Saturday. I think the day later went and filmed Violent Night, came back and did Dynamite, went back to Winnipeg for Violent Night, showed up at MLW, had to go back and film, back to AEW, back to film. Then I think it was 1 a.m. Eastern today. 1 a.m. Eastern. He's in Mexico having a match of the year candidate with Mystico. If you do not even care about Lucha Libre, you need to watch Mystico and MJF. It was art. It was beautiful. MJF out there as Homelander. It was magnificent. Now, we reported his full schedule on FightfulSelect.com. But then it was like 3:54 p.m. Eastern. He is doing his walkout. And for this tables and thumbtacks match. It's insane. Luis mentions even John Cruz was great as a manager. Yeah, a.k.a. Serpentico. But he's out there 14 hours later in Canada, mind you. Flew all the way over another country. And then tomorrow, he gets like, I think, half a day to hang out with Alicia. And then he's back to Winnipeg to film Violent Night. This man is dedicated to the game. This man is dedicated to the wrestling business. I mean, how often do you see somebody in wrestling, and I'm not knocking anybody, but how often do you see them take a movie role and they're just off TV until they come back? And you got Adam Sandler and Julie Bowen doing promotion for Happy Gilmore 2, and she's like, yeah, he left our filming to go do a pay-per-view match and came back bruised all to hell. Man is married to Alicia Atute and married to the game. Impressive. And he put over Mark Briscoe. And listen, it's clean in a weapons match, but it was clean. There was this fantastic tombstone onto Thumbtacks. There was a spot where he threw Tacks into the face. Looked like his dick was bleeding. It was insane. Just had blood all over his crotch, which you knew when he took off the jacket and he had the white shirt. Listen, MJF is so old school. You knew he was bleeding. I mean, plus it's a thumbtack match, so of course. There was the Sabu-esque dive onto the table, but there was the Cactus Jack elbow, and then Briscoe did a couple of froggy bows, one onto the table, and then one in general. I see people complaining about the commentary, and I agree. There needs to be more excitement out of commentary. That's what I want to see. I want to see more excitement out of commentary when, like, Mark Briscoe beats MJF. MJF has been a top guy in wrestling for years. I know a lot of people like to rewrite history and act like him and Adam Cole wasn't good because they did the Devil storyline and a guy got hurt and it derailed everything. That was a hot enough angle to sell out Wembley and do 2 matches. It was a very hot angle. Our dude Mike Straw is here. If you all haven't checked out our Fightful Presents videos, please do here on YouTube. We've got a whole bunch of them that cover a lot of very evergreen topics. We got a playlist for them as well. Mike Straw does those and he does a fantastic job. One of the best gaming reporters in the world as well. Also, check out our Shorts tab, not just here, but on Fightful Scraps, where we got a bunch of clips because Joel Pearl was there sending in tons of clips. They're on a lot of our socials, our TikTok, our Instagram, etc. Mark Briscoe winning this match is so important because you put him in a lot of very heavy, important positions. And for quite a while, like, he just wasn't winning a lot of those matches, right? He just wasn't. So I feel like you got to have him win some really big ones so you can continue to put him in those. And he seems like a threat. And of lately, they have certainly done that. He won the match, I want to say, it feels like about once a month, he's getting a pretty significant win, right? Like, he feuded with Ricochet and won a bunch of those, but he won the Gauntlet 4-way as well with Bandito, Takeshita, Roderick Strong. Then he beat Claudio in July. He beat Ricochet the next week. He beat Lance Archer on Dynamite. And now he beat MJF. So it's good to see him. Like, he's getting a pretty significant sustained push there. The J Driller on the Tacks was filthy. This was just beautifully violent. MJF had, one of the better 14 or so hours that you can have in pro wrestling, and losing twice. And that's a story you can play up too, is that this insane schedule that he has maintained is weighing on him. He is married to the game. Like, he is a scumbag. He is a heel, but there is no denying how dedicated to pro wrestling he is. I think that is an element of realism that can be brought into upcoming MJF storylines as well, is that he portrays himself, like, sometimes he portrays himself as cowardly, so to speak, but there's nothing cowardly about what he does and the schedule that he maintains and the fact that he was willing to have these matches. So he's gone from, like, the Ric Flair, no, to, I mean, he's flying all over the place. He's wrestling everywhere. He's wrestling in Mexico and America. Fantastic. And Mark Briscoe is just one of the most lovely human beings you'll ever meet, guys. Like, I love talking to this guy. If you can't tell, we did an interview it was a couple months ago, but I released it a couple weeks ago. I just love this dude. I just love seeing the guy. He always treats everybody like he's known them his whole life. He is just a wonderful human being. He is as kind as you would expect him to be. And in my line of work, you never know who might not like something you've reported in the past or criticized about their matches in the past. And he's just one of those very fun, mature ones who is like, you know what? That's the job. You treat me fair, I treat you fair. Just lovely guy. Yes, I would say that Excalibur has lost some of his excitement. So Briscoe is backstage with the wide array of conglomeration. This includes the Paragon. Roddy Strong's back there as well. We got Hologram. We got Harley, and we got Willow. So I guess all of them are in the conglomeration. And Mark Briscoe lays out a challenge, and he's like, but I got a third partner. He's like, hey, Kyle, is he ready? Kyle said, well, I called him. And he said, whatever. And that is obviously Orange Cassidy coming back this week.
Yep, boys.
At FightfulSelect.com. Unfortunately reported this past spring that he sustained a torn pec. He had surgery shortly after, and he was cleared a few weeks ago. I should say that is what we reported. So he's back. We got Jerry Lynn trying to reunite the Acclaimed. I would like to see the Acclaimed with a different type of approach. I wouldn't mind to see them turn on Jerry Lynn. I think they have effectively written off Billy Gunn. Like, it wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me one bit to see Billy Gunn head over to WWE, join the DX power play, and try to get that Saudi payday, buddy. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. But right now, we've got a huge infusion to the tag team division with all the returns that are back and the Acclaim getting back together and Hook and Eddie Kingston. Like, the tag team division is getting a lot. And as a result of the tag team division getting a lot, you're going to see some people like trickle up to the trios division as well. Alex Fitzgerald sends a super chat and says, give me Beth versus Megan Bain. Buddy, I am here for all the sirloin beef sons and misses. Doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that. But we did get a beautiful sirloin beef sons of bitches match. We have Gates of Agony and Ricochet, The Demand, with their newer music, defeating the Hurt Syndicate. Complete. Oh, Daughters and Misses. Sirloin beef Daughters and Misses. There we go. But they had a sirloin beef sons of bitches match against the Hurt Syndicate. Now,
yeah, boys.
At FightfulSelect.com, we reported a lot around all this, too. Reported that Hurt Syndicate really wanted to work with Gates of Agony, and this is something that MVP made sure that we knew. He wanted to let us know that he wanted to work with these gentlemen. He's put them over heavily. We also reported Gates of Agony signed new deals, of which we talked to them about this week, and they were very flattered by MVP. And listen, we've also reported on people they didn't want to work with, they didn't want to lose to. And the list wasn't short. They wanted to work with these gentlemen. And that's why on the prediction show, I said, you know what? I think I'm going to go with Ricochet, Toa Leona, and Bishop Khan. I even put money on this. I sent that to Ricochet. I was like, I literally bet on you to win. Can't bet a ton, but by God, I won out there. They started slow. They really worked this over with MVP. That was the story of the match, is that they wanted to zero in on MVP and the fact that he was a little bit older, a little bit slower. And it was a point of pride for MVP to go out there and show that he could still do it, because he doesn't wrestle that much anymore. And then they just got meaty, buddy. They just got meaty nonstop. Really good stuff here. Really physical. Crowd was into it. There was that Lashley double German. He launched Ricochet with no regard. And that's one of the benefits of wrestling a guy like Ricochet, especially Ricochet as a heel. Because like Ricochet as a heel can still do all his cool stuff, and he's such an asshole, like his character, that you can garner heat from that. Because I've always thought that a good gimmick is being exactly as good as you say you are and think you are. Shelton Benjamin, let me tell you guys, all things considered, my favorite wrestler of all time is Shelton Benjamin. And only now are we truly getting to see him get to put it all together. Now, I will say this. There were some spots, the early push in WWE, the Ring of Honor tag team division, very good. Some stuff in Japan. But there are so many things that Shelton Benjamin, can't quite do that he did 21 years ago. Like, he ain't doing a 450 these days. But it doesn't matter, man. This guy was a wrestler a legit wrestler, and he's out there throwing some filthy ass strikes, man. Filthy strikes. Just incredible way this man cooks people. Toa Leona had a great spot over the barricade, and Ricochet, keeps on doing his thing. But the Demand get the win, and I think you got to have them get a big win like this. And I'm sure this was a point of pride for the Hurt Syndicate as well. Like, they are helping establish these gentlemen who just signed multi-year deals, very extensive multi-year deals, making sure that these guys are made, making sure that these guys are set and are trios titles contenders now, right? I think that the Demand winning was the right call. I think it was good booking. Because I reported what I did, I had a lot of people say, oh, you don't like the Hurt Syndicate. You're trying to bury them. I'm like, listen, I don't disagree with how they're booked. I think you need strong booked teams. I like a Road Warriors team. I don't have a problem with how they're booked. Some of the other teams in the division did, for sure. I didn't. Fantastic match. Get your super chats in. Get your humper chats in. I want to know what you guys want to talk about as we go through this marathon. Accidentally muted myself. Mercedes Moné defeated Riho. Now, Riho looked significantly better in this match than she did upon arriving back in that tag match a couple weeks ago. And I'm glad that they, first off, got her that match. Second off, got her the quick match against Robin Renegade, which I don't know when the hell they'll ever do the Mercedes and Renegade thing. But that was good to have her get in there and get some reps, because there was immediate rust, but she looked way better. She did the dance that got a little heat from Mercedes. I thought that her offense in this match looked significantly better than it does when people are often criticizing her offense. And by that, I mean, she did a lot of stomps. Like, she put her full weight on people. When she did the half crab, she leaned all the way back. Like, she really cranked that thing twice. There was quite frankly, an adorable spot where Riho asked permission to climb the announce table, which was good. And Mercedes gave it back to her, buddy. That filthy ass drop kick Mercedes did was so good. The Meteora outside was good. Crowd wasn't up for this match at far too much. This is the one where I was like, man, what's up with this crowd? Like, after the Eddie and Big Bill match, like, I guess I can kind of get it, even though Eddie's back, but the crowd was not quite there where I think it should have been, because I thought this was a good match. Riho also did a really good crucifix bomb. So I thought that her offense was markedly improved over what it was. And of course, Mercedes wins. Vicky, our good friend, says, are they ever going to get the damn belt off Mercedes? I'm bored. Well, they're certainly not going to do it like less than a month before she breaks Jade Cargill's TBS title record. That's just not going to happen. That would be, I think, promotional malpractice, because with Jade Cargill, it was a person you brought into pro wrestling. You had, get this gigantic push. Then she loses the title, takes the summer off, and then she's effectively gone. She came back and put one person over. So they are 26 days away from Mercedes breaking that TBS title record. And I think also, whenever they switch that title off of her, I think it becomes more of the upper mid-card title, because she has helped really, really establish that. Get in your super chats, get in your humper chats. I see some of you asking questions, but just get in a super chat. Eloquent says, was there live? Crowd was definitely loud. So in the shorts that we've been posting, I've been noticing the crowd is a lot better. I have somebody asking about the crowd miking. I think they do need to do better with crowd miking. I absolutely do. N. Simmons says, someone said Ricochet does an underrated job of making himself look like a dork when he could look cool if he wanted. Their new gear is One Piece inspired. They're dressed as the Admirals. Yes, sir. I mean, Ricochet is one of those guys where if I could do 10% of what that guy could do physically, you could never get me to shut the hell up about it, man. He's incredible. And I've always thought the gimmick of this guy knows exactly how good he is and he won't shut up about it is really good. And that's what he does. But he's also willing to sell for people. He's also willing to make other people look good because people got a base for him. People got to do that as well. Like it takes two to tango. So I think that he's doing a fantastic job in his role. Just a fantastic job. Oh boy. Where do I start? Like, do I even talk about spots in this unified title match? Do I even do that? Well, we got somebody says, who would you book to beat Mercedes? I'd book Queen Aminata to beat Mercedes. That's who I'd book to beat Mercedes. And I'd do it on TV too. I'd do it on a Dynamite. In the main event of a Dynamite. In a very physical match. I think Queen Aminata is a great person to take that crown who can benefit from Mercedes, from beating Mercedes. Thekla would be a good option as well. Thekla has been an absolute goddamn buzzsaw, which we'll talk about later. Let's talk about this Unified Championship match. This is one of the best triple threat matches you're ever going to see. And it left a lot in the tank to make you want that Okada Takeshita match that is going to be a top-notch Unified Championship match. Because
yeah, boys
at FightfulSelect.com reported they wanted this to be a 1B championship. And I feel like when Okada and Takeshita have their match, it should main event a pay-per-view. But Mascara Dorada is 24 years old. Some of the 24-year-olds that are aggressively sending me tweets on Twitter barely know how to wipe their own asses. And this man is out there having all-timers with Okada and Takeshita. Two guys who are not lucha wrestlers. They are not traditional lucha bases either. And they're just like, whatever, bro. Throw it at us. We got you. There's a the fireman's carry brainbuster is one of my favorite moves in wrestling, by the way. But when you got Okada and Takeshita standing up there taking a double Rana, I mean, listen, those two gentlemen, like if they don't want to do something, they ain't gonna do it. And they were there for everything. The crowd was so hot for Mascara Dorada. I got to say, if there's one thing I truly love about the year 2025 is how much more accepted Lucha Libre is in America. Now, listen, a full-on AAA or CMLL show isn't always for me. The style isn't always for me. That's just personal preference. But man, some of the stuff that we've seen and some of the stuff that's caught on here in America across AAA, WWE, CMLL, and AEW has been really great to see. MLW as well. Like MLW leans so heavily into lucha now because first off, it draws big time. But this was unbelievable. Mascara Dorada looked like a star because he is. Then when you got that Okada Takeshita situation where they're in there slugging it out, right? That's when you're like, okay, yeah, this is going to be something very big in the future. And this is going to end up being one where this is going to be a major match. And you know it, you already knew it was, but just to see them there, to see them doing what they're doing and the reaction that they get and how Okada makes the most out of almost nothing. But he hit the big drop kick on Takeshita, hit the Rainmaker on Mascara Dorada, got the pin. Unbelievable stuff here. And maybe the best match of the night and not the best match I saw all day. And the best match wasn't even after this. Insane. Fantastic. Love the unified title. Love what they're doing with. I mean, I don't love the title. I think it's an ugly ass title. But ASW Fire Pro says Maki Ito to AEW. Also, TJPW Miyu Mizuki was great. I haven't heard anything about Maki there. And yes, the best match I saw all day was on the CML anniversary show by far. It was Mystico and MJF. And that's not a shot at anybody else. Maki, I haven't heard anything about that. I think she's best used in AEW in cameos. Also, Dorada did the same thing MJF did. He was at the anniversary show. Listen, he was. I will say, listen, MJF had an all-timer match at the anniversary show and then went through like 10,000 tacks. You know, and I'm happy to see MJF getting his flowers now as well. Yeah. Coffin match. Jon Moxley defeated Darby Allin. Darby Allin is not good at coffin matches, apparently. Right? Think that's where we are on this? He ain't good at them. He gets his ass whipped a lot. I don't know how this man's neck isn't broken just by the whiplash of some of these spots. He took was it a spine buster or a choke slam on the coffin? And I'm just like, oh my God. They did a dive. They almost, oh my God, this could have went really badly. He did a suicide dive. And they were both in the coffin. And you could tell that they were like, okay, so how do we move without the coffin closing and then ending the match? So as soon as Darby moved, Moxley had to kick open the lid of the coffin, which was great. There was also a lot of stabbing going on here. A whole lot of stabbing. There was a paradigm shift on the coffin. There was a cutter on the floor. But there was also a lot of stabbing. Bryan Danielson had said when all the Death Riders came out, Darby's done a lot for AEW. And it's surprising to me that nobody's out here helping him. And I would love an explanation for that. Because it's a very good point. Where was everybody? Why didn't anybody make an effort to help this guy? So what Danielson did, he just had a bag. And they're like, you said you weren't getting involved. And it's like, I'm not. And there was Darby grabbing the plastic bag and smothering Jon Moxley. Now, Brandon Flaherty brings up a good point. What gimmick match are they building for the blow-off of this feud? Has to be something crazy. What more can they do? Especially when we get to what happened later. Maybe something involving that. Probably. Give me a moment, Brandon. I'll pitch something. So out of nowhere, Pac comes back, finally, after injury. Does an absolutely disturbing awesome bomb on a coffin. I'm not talking even the Awesome Bomb where Mike Awesome, had Spike over his head and like took care of him a little bit. I'm talking like a WWE SmackDown versus Raw one where they just chucked the son of a bitch. It was nasty. You can tell Pax wanted to do that to somebody for quite some time. And then Moxley beats Darby. I really thought Darby was winning this. In fact, on betting sites, Darby was a massive favorite here. Massive favorite. I felt pretty confident in Darby winning. And somebody mentions the exploding barbed wire death match. See, I don't think you can do that with an audience anyway. So they're pretty much done with that, I think. So Vicky says, SRS, I spend 2 hours in a body bag and survive. I want my bloody Moxley with a side of fries. I love that Darby got even and loved Brian. Brian has been a revelation on commentary. He's fun. He's charming. He makes sense. He adds some comedy, but also adds a lot of analysis as well. He's great. Mox sends the Death Riders away, right? And Darby did everybody's done the thing where you got a cousin or a brother or sister and they hit you and you fall down and you pretend you're dead. You really sell that for like 10 minutes, right? You try to stop your breathing, you try to slow it down, you do everything. Darby did that. Darby trained for this during Everest. He said, if I ever end up in a coffin, how long can I last? Then he pops out. Oops, pal, surprise. Bam. Surprise, bitch. Bet you thought you'd seen the last of me, he said. He puts Moxley in a body bag and sets him on fire. I want to know why he's not charged. Well, okay, you know what? Self-defense. That is self-defense. I feel like the fire is overboard, but hey, it's Darby, it's Mox. They love being violent. I'll tell you all a little story I've mentioned before. So in 2020, I went and got my hair cut by the Nightmare Collective. Broke up the group, all that stuff. And it was in Cleveland, and John Moxley's mom was there. And she's just this very lovely, quiet woman, probably, in her 50s, 60s. And, she actually held some of my stuff for me while we did the angle, right? And she's watching me get my hair sawed off with a hook knife by Awesome Kong, who at that point was a big star on Glow as the welfare queen. And she's just like looking like, oh my gosh, like John Moxley's mom. And I was like, man, she probably thinks this is crazy. And then I thought about it. I was like, wait, that's John Moxley's mom. This doesn't even register for her. And of course, now, she's watching pay-per-views where her son's getting stabbed with a screwdriver and set on fire. He's getting sawed off with a hook knife. Why does she give a shit? Valab says everything in this match was not enough because for no reason he set Mox's bum on fire. His bum, Sean. His bum. Valab, were you trying to say ass and it wouldn't let you? Because bum works better. Bum works a lot better. I think they're going to do some sort of set this person on fire match. She's watching like have fun at school. Has the TK announcement been covered, predicted yet? I predicted women's tag titles, but I don't know the answer. I haven't even begun to ask yet. Haven't begun to ask yet. And Simmons says Dorada continuously giving Okada an arm drag at any given opportunity was hilarious. Takeshita threw him and he grabs Okada into an arm drag. It was funny. Also, funny moment was Bryan Danielson saying, I'm supposed to be impartial, but I don't give a fuck. dropping F-bombs, which I'm trying not to do. I'm trying to be sponsor friendly, guys. Trying to be sponsor friendly. Because, listen, if there's one sponsor that doesn't like curse words, it's been a marathon day of wrestling, and maybe you want to do some marathon grappling in the sheets, but you're not confident that you'll have that main event level performance. Blue Chew and the code FIGHTFUL is here to help. Right now, you get your first shipment of Blue Chew free. Just pay $5 shipping. You might say, Sean, well, surely it's not that easy. It really is, though. You go to bluechew.com, you speak with one of their online physicians, and if approved, it ships straight to your door discreetly. No more waiting in line at the doctor's office. No more awkward conversation. No more waiting in line at the pharmacy with that pharmacist and all the pharmacist friends back there going, oh my God, look at what he's doing. Oh, I bet he's about to go all out. Oh, but there's going to be a palooza in his pants. None of that anymore. None of that anymore with Blue Chew and the code FIGHTFUL. They've been with us for years, helping you with that main event performance. Maybe you're looking to make a great debut performance, an excellent first impression, and you want to deliver your main event best. Whether you're starting at the pre-show or you're going hours and hours and hours, or all through the day and night, Blue Chew and the code FIGHTFUL is there to help you. Tons of satisfied customers. And let me tell you, you're going to be leaving somebody satisfied when you use Blue Chew and the code FIGHTFUL. Getting a lot of good insight and stuff from this show, from people who were there, some performers, some wrestlers. It was mentioned, and I will say this because I had mentioned the Hook reaction earlier. And then somebody had mentioned how the crowd was mic'd. If you go back and look at our scraps videos and stuff that Joel sent in, Eloquent, who sent that super chat earlier, I think was on to something, because the Hook reaction was much different. My gosh, some of the entrance reactions were different because Joel got a lot of the entrances there as well. So that's something to, I think, keep your eye on. Please check out those scraps videos that we do. Getting some good insight on the mixed tag from Wrestlepalooza as well, from within the wrestling industry. Also, Bryan Danielson's line about Okada. He's got a long middle finger. That's the insight. Listen, that's the insight you need right there. It would be easier to drink water if this was open. Alex Fitzgerald says, I like the slow build to Takeshita Okada. They were in a 4-way at last year's All Out. The singles match is going to be great. Continental Classic finals. So I just want to make it clear. I don't have insight on what the Continental Classic will be. But in my opinion, if you're establishing this unified title as a 1B championship, I don't think it should be defended throughout the tournament. I think it should be a tournament to get the opportunity at that championship. And if that's the case, I would love Takeshita winning that, because they have been leaning heavily into calling Okada the best tournament wrestler of all time, right? And then you have Takeshita come in and do in 1 year what Okada has done in the past. Well, I like that an awful lot. I think that would be really great. Now, the way that it's getting, a lot of people are saying, no, man, no, you can't have him do it at the Tokyo Dome, but New Japan likes Takeshita a lot, buddy, and they would love to have Okada back there. I'm just saying. Whew, what a shocker in the AEW Women's Championship match. So one of the things I really respect about the way that AEW has booked Toni Storm is they have made it abundantly clear that she is queen shit and that title is the top title. They've made that completely clear. There is no room for error there. They had Mercedes on a year-long title run come in, face her at All In. Toni won. They had Athena win that gauntlet, challenge Toni Storm near 1,000 days as ROH champion. Toni won. You would think after that, well, Toni's going to go on a long run. I've been speaking lately on, I miss when there were some unexpected title changes. First episode of ECW on TNN that I saw, and the Dudley Boys won the titles from, I think it was Balls and Spike, and then lost them to Raven and Dreamer. That was fun. That was good. It was compelling TV. Now, I understand, like, we went in the Attitude Era, there was title change. And you don't got to go that extreme, but it feels like a lot of reigns are judged as opposed to some of the moments that emerge from them. And that used to be kind of the defining factor. Most people don't remember that Stone Cold Steve Austin's first world title run was like 2 months, right? Like from, what was late April or late March to mid-June was his first one. People don't remember that. They remember him winning it, and they remember him being a champion. So Toni in this match, which has Jamie Hayter and Thekla, it was shocking to me and the audience that Kris Statlander won. She hadn't had a world title match in over 4 years. It was a pleasant shock, though. And I know I'm going like kind of in reverse here, but I love a good pin beating a good wrestler, because that's the name of the game. You pin the shoulders to the mat. I've often said Brett Diesel Survivor Series 95, one of my favorite finishes of all time. Love it. I just think it's good, effective, and it shows you got to get their shoulders on the mat. You can't always submit them. You're not always going to hit them with your big finish and then pin them. Seatbelt, pin, there you go. And the crowd was like in disbelief, but pleasant disbelief, because we're getting this angle afterwards, because they're continuing this Jamie Hayter Thekla feud. Thekla, by the way, an absolute goddamn buzzsaw that I will continue to say has transitioned phenomenally well to American TV. And I think this is going to get Jamie Hayter back over to near the degree she was when she was Women's World Champion. And I think before too long, they'll have the TBS title that's sort of in that mix as well. Jamie looked great. The Thekla suplexes looked great. The finish was great. Stat doing that moonsault, fantastic. And Toni Storm sold this to such a beautiful degree after the match. She was shocked. She's so good that she was shocked. Because the way this is brought along is she's like, I beat the TBS champion. I beat the ROH champion. I sent the last AEW women's champion. I sent her running to a different company. Compromised her to a permanent end. So throw everything you got at me. Give me 3 people. Because 1 ain't enough anymore. And they could have taken the very easy way out, which is Statlander pinning somebody else. Jamie or Thekla cost each other the match and then do it. But I respect the balls. The balls associated with Toni Storm is just the most glaring example of the Macho Man Randy Savage quote that I heard. I believe Bruce Pritchard had recited it, where he would talk about, smoke and mirrors and, shenanigans. And Randy Savage would be like, man, I'm over. I want to win him in the ring and lose him in the ring, because I want people putting me over clean, so I'll put them over clean too. And an immense amount of respect for that, just to book that, to do it, to know and have the faith that first off, the person winning is going to get the appropriate reaction, and it is an immediate, amazing moment in AEW history, and that the woman who dropped the title is going to be massively over in the wake of such a thing. I find this immediately a brilliant decision, a brilliant reaction. You further the Hayter-Thekla feud. You set up Statlander and Toni Storm. Even if Toni Storm wins it right back, which I don't know if she will or not. If they hot potatoed it, sure, why not? Give me something compelling. Give me something interesting. They did that tonight. That was great stuff. We also had a really good ladder match, as one would expect. But LaRon Ford chimes in. Says AEW women's matches or women's title matches are too short. Your top women's title should be getting more than 12 minutes on the pay-per-view, when the men's routinely gets 25 to 40. I don't disagree with that, LaRon. I would expect Toni and Kris to get that moving forward. And somebody says excited to see what Toni does without the title. Well, I would imagine she goes right into feuding with Statlander. That's what Statlander wants. I do know that, but I would be shocked if Statlander and Toni didn't go like 20 as well. Somebody says it's a setup Stat versus Willow. That could happen as well. Absolutely could happen as well. AEW tag titles, Brodito win against Young Bucks, Jet Speed, and the Don Callis family combination of Hechicero and Josh Alexander. There was a funny spot on commentary this past week where Don Callis goes, Brian, have you ever wrestled anybody like Hechicero? And he's like, well, I have wrestled Hechicero. And you can hear Excalibur and Bryan Danielson laughing throughout that. So the heels combined and did a lot of work on the baby faces here. There were some spots that I really liked, and there were some that I just don't quite didn't like. Like the one where the Young Bucks were under the ladder and Knight does the frog splash onto it. I'm like, that would hurt him more than them. Like just getting smushed by the ladder is not as much as throwing your body full speed into the ladder. That's like some video game logic. Moonsault and battery with a ladder was good. I liked Jet Speed and the Young Bucks playing chicken as well. The Swanton spot on the ladder was great. Oh my God. Yeah, the moonsault knees onto Hechicero, and Hechicero's finger was stuck in the ladder. I hope he's all right. I don't know that I don't know that Toni gave an update on that. If anybody happens to know from the scrum earlier or the junket earlier, if he mentioned an update on anybody. But Hechicero's head got like smashed pretty bad there too. I was worried about him. But you got a big table bump from Kevin Knight, and eventually Brodito wins. They're so over, man. Like I think Brody King's going to be one of those guys to emerge. And I think Bandito will as well. I mean, he had a match of the year contender against Takeshita at ROH. Was it Supercard or Death Before, whichever one. But Brody King's going to be one of those guys that I felt like in the wake of all the injuries would really emerge. And now they got reinforcements. Now they got Beth Phoenix there. They got Eddie Kingston back. They got Orange Cassidy. You got Jack Perry, which we can now talk about. But Sarah Noble says Hechicero and Alexander were the least good team in the four-way, and we're still amazing. The tag division is so back. It really is. And I think that because the tag division is so back, now it's time for the trios division to be so back. Let's get the Hurt Syndicate doing more. Let's get the Demand doing more. Let's get the conglomeration doing more. Like, let me pull up the AEW Fightful roster here. We got plenty. You got Don Callis family that can do stuff there. You've got versions of the Elite that can do stuff. Also, Jurassic Express is back, which we will talk about momentarily. Hurt Syndicate, Infantry, Don Callis family, Death Riders. You got Dark Order. You got LFI. You got the Ops. You got some good stuff there. We definitely need to update some of those because Undisputed Kingdom is still listed there. Oh, man. But we got Jack Perry popping up, and he's been sending like knives and stuff, right, to the Young Bucks, talking about them stabbing him in the back and all that. And I thought this was wonderfully done. This was a really well-played thing. And they went back to the Acclaimed, even though Max Caster got over big doing his own thing. Jack Perry, I think, did okay with the scapegoat stuff, but ultimately a lot of the Punk stuff was a little bit too difficult to get over and to overcome. So I'm glad they did this with a different approach. And I thought the way that Jack Perry played it was really great. He came out, he did his thing, he attacked the Young Bucks, and then they started to beat him down. And then as they're going for the BTE trigger, he does this like little shit-eating grin. Which again, if you're eating shit and grinning, your life's probably not going too hot anyway. But it was about to go a lot better for him because the video hits, and you boys at FightfulSelect.com had reported he would be back within the month. But that Luchasaurus or the Kill Switch video that aired a few weeks ago, everybody was like, that's got to be Jack Perry reviving him, right? And it was. And he came out, did Kill Switch. He attacked the Bucks. He took off the Kill Switch belt. He is Luchasaurus again. They embrace. And they got the music back. Baltimore Tarzan Boy, which I wish the Bengals would use for their touchdown song. I got chills watching that, man. They were never like my favorite team or anything, but they were a good team together. And I'm excited to see how it does now with sort of the evolution of Jack Perry. Because he can't be just Jungle Boy anymore. He's Jack Perry now. You can be Jungle Boy Jack Perry, but this was good stuff, man. This was really, really good. Enjoyed it. Think that it's a good shot in the arm. You're bringing back a talent. You're bringing back in the tag division. You're setting up a program with the Young Bucks as well. Just excellent. Excellent. As was tonight's main event, Hangman Page defeated Kyle Fletcher. And after the match, you see Hangman whisper something to him. And I don't know if that was like an in-character, out-of-character thing, but I hope the kayfabe thing is him saying, I was wrong, you're ready. Great back and forth match here. Kyle Fletcher, like, the vibes I get from Kyle Fletcher, like, clearly they weren't going to have him win this match, but I was getting, like, these John Jones early emergence flashbacks. And those of you that don't know what I mean, man, I used to cover MMA full time, and John Jones, as you know him today, is just a colossal screw up that is largely, pretty much undefeated in the UFC. But as I knew him, he was a phenom that debuted, won a bunch of regional fights in a few months, got brought into the UFC, manhandled some UFC veterans, and very quickly ascended to the top of the UFC, and it didn't even look difficult. And that's the way that Kyle Fletcher was sort of presented here, even though he's been around for years, right? So it's not quite the same, but those were just the vibes I got. Was this phenom, this special talent that you know is going to be there for a very, very long time. He's special. He had like the apron bomb, the beautiful Michinoku driver, big elbow, and they got really into it, man. There was like a spot where Fletcher goes for the Tiger driver, but Hangman uses swerves. Was it the JML driver? Is that what they called it? Can't remember what they renamed it. But also, there was a dead eye through a table. But on that swerve spot, like the clearance for Fletcher's neck was like that. It was so little. So little. Fletcher uses the hidden blade. That's becoming a very common spot. Big pressure is the name of the move. You're right. Big pressure. Fletcher using the hidden blade. I mean, I would do that until Ospreay comes back. I think that's a great shout, because if Ospreay's going to be out months to a year or more, do the Tiger driver, do the hidden blade, do all this stuff. Steal it. Why not? There was an Avalanche Deadeye. Like, I didn't even know it was possible without like a table there to kind of redirect you, right? Then they go into the buckshot. Amazing. Hangman wins. Love for Boost says, did Kenny produce the main event? Looked Omega-ish. I believe Kenny is in Japan. Because if he wasn't, I think they would just have him on this show. Galron says, how soon before we get Jack Perry, Luchasaurus versus Cope and Christian? Christian got some splaining to do. The crowd doing the Hey Bailey thing, but they were chanting, Christian, do you want to be our dad? That was pretty good too. Yeah, the absolute disregard for spinal stenosis in that main event was concerning, but incredible main event, fantastic show. I thought they absolutely killed it. I thought they did a great job. I love that they did the afternoon thing. Listen, I don't need a 6-hour show. At no point do I need a 6-hour pay-per-view and pre-show. I don't need it. I don't need 14 matches on a card. 3 of those pre-show matches could have been on Dynamite. I didn't need it. I'll say that every time. They had a great show. Anthony Castaneda says, getting early singles HBK vibes from Fletcher. Both tag team specialists, both mid-card champs. Fletcher into the main event scene. You know what? I think that is a really, really good shout. I think that's a really great way to put that. And that, yeah, I mean, he's bigger. He's in better shape than Michaels was early on. And like 95 Michaels got in insane shape as well. But yeah, and he's having main events. Shawn Michaels was doing that too. He was perceived as a main eventer. Maybe some combinations of Shawn Michaels and Randy Orton. I think that this is a really, really good comparison. Like the size of Randy Orton, some of the, obviously the hair and all that, but a lot of the work rate of like that Shawn Michaels. Yeah, Anthony, I think you're onto something there. JMG says, this was the match that made me feel like Callis and Bryan outclassed other commentators. If you would have it your way, what changes would you make? Well, I like most of the commentators there. Listen, I think that putting Ian Riccaboni in every so often adds some excitement. I like Jim Ross being there on the occasional big match. Excalibur does not seem to have the same excitement that he once had, but has a familiarity with the product of which nobody else does. I like Taz because there's a certain sense of comfortability that he brings to that broadcast. And also there are an awful lot of technical elements that he provides insight to that I don't think that everybody can provide that insight to. But Bryan Danielson is a breath of fresh air. But you've seen this a lot, right? Like when Taz first came onto the commentary scene decades ago, he was a breath of fresh air. When Mick Foley came along later that decade, breath of fresh air. When JBL started to do it, people liked JBL. Like the new guy is going to be Pat McAfee got a lot of praise when he first did commentary. Barrett as well. A good familiar voice that lends a fresh voice and insight. It's always good to keep things fresh. Absolutely. Absolutely. You think Bucks and CNC is CNC's retirement match down the line? Well, I don't know, because I don't know that Christian sees the end of the line for him is as close as Copeland's. I don't think that they'll have their retirement match together. I do think that Christian might be Cope's retirement match. I could see that being a thing. Also, a thing I want to say about Callis is he sounds like he's always auditioning for a commentary role for whenever he's done being a manager. Certainly. Get in your super chats. Get in your humper chats. My friends, we have had a very, very long day. A lot of money spent. I hope you spent it wisely. 2 big wrestling shows one day, and maybe a lot of money, unless you're using nordvpn.com/Fightful. I know just a couple of years ago, things were much more affordable. Inflation's got a hold of everybody, but nordvpn.com/Fightful is here to help. Whether it be AEW All Out, the first show, normally you'd be paying $40 to $50 for that. But if you use nordvpn.com/Fightful, change your virtual location, you can pay the prices that they're paying overseas. WWE Wrestlepalooza right after. ESPN just launched their new service. That would be $30 unless right now your cable provider gives you access, which not many do. But I'm about to give you access with nordvpn.com/Fightful. If you watch WWE Raw, you've already got a Netflix account. So with nordvpn.com/Fightful, you log into that Netflix account and you can watch Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and WWE PLEs. It's very simple. Subscribe to nordvpn.com/Fightful. Get 2 years plus 4 months extra. Get a great deal on that. It equals out to less than, I think, $2.98 a month. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. I know some of you are saying, Sean, I don't know if I'll be able to figure it out. I'm here to tell you. All your operating systems, all your devices. I've got a phone, desktop, laptop, PC, Surface Pro router, works on all of those here in my office, plus the smart TV on the wall that I use in my studio. It's good to go. All you do is get the app, change your virtual location to anywhere but America, log into your Netflix account or whatever pay-per-view provider you're going after. Check it out, nordvpn.com/Fightful. If for some reason you think you still can't figure it out, they've got 24/7 tech support to help you. Save yourself some money in these times with nordvpn.com/Fightful. WWE Wrestlepalooza. It got started off at 7 p.m. So as the Jurassic Express reunion was occurring, we saw the show start with the ESPN teaser, the history of, which had a little bit of Vince McMahon in there, which we haven't seen in quite a while. And then by the time Brock Lesnar and John Cena were in the ring, you were facing off with the AEW main event. Now, we do have a couple of super chats and humper chats that I want to get to before the show. Ryan says, any idea what's going on with Santos Escobar? Completely disappeared off TV, and he disappeared the same time as Andrade. What gives? I reached out. I have not heard back, but I have been looking into this. I'm trying to find out. I have not heard that he's been backstage, but I'll try to verify that as well. And Nelson says, heard anything about Angel Garza and Shinsuke? I've been asking about Shinsuke all year. Would not surprise me to hear that his contract is up soon, even though I want to make this clear before people aggregate this. I don't know that his contract is up soon, but it wouldn't surprise me to just see that. I know he's been at the site of SmackDown recently, though. So, yeah, like he's been like around the show. Like he's been at SmackDown. So it's not the same as just other people who are completely off TV. But it wouldn't surprise me to hear he's finished up or something like that. So, damn, man. I didn't like Brock Lesnar versus John Cena at all. I didn't like it at all, man. Like beyond the obvious things and the sign that says he shouldn't be here and we all know why. It's because Brock Lesnar is currently named in a lawsuit against WWE and Vince McMahon. Now, I took great issue with what my business partner said about the Brock Lesnar situation. Well, he didn't commit any crimes. And we had that conversation. I explained it, and he apologized on air. It's because in the lawsuit, as alleged, the only reason that he didn't participate in sex trafficking was because he was either too inebriated or there was a snowstorm. Now, this week, John Alba asked ESPN execs on the media call, hey, do you have any reservations over this? And ESPN did give a consistent answer. I don't have to like the answer, but it was a consistent answer. They said WWE has creative control over the talent that they use there. And when I spoke to another person that's very high up in ESPN, they laid it out to me like this. They said, on Monday Night Football, when you come and watch that game, we are not going to tell the Cincinnati Bengals and the Denver Broncos who to field. And there might be some people with checkered pasts there or checkered presence there, but we aren't going to tell them who to field. And is that plausible deniability from ESPN? Certainly is, but it is at least consistent in what they do in that sense. And you know what? I don't blame them for passing the buck to Triple H because he does it to everybody else, right? He tried to pass the buck to John Cena, and John Cena says, I just do what they tell me. Now, Fightful Select's Scoops thread reported that the creative was locked in on this earlier this week, which was a big reason why they changed this from the main event. Because this was just Brock Lesnar beating John Cena's ass. The Cena formula is do a bunch of finishing moves and, all that. He did hit an AA, but other than that, it was complete squash. It was like clothesline, like 5 or 6 F5s, and Brock Lesnar beat him. Now, I saw a lot of people when I was like, that was dumb as hell. They said, well, you want John Cena to win? You want John Cena to win? He's going to retire. Well, thank God, guys, that this young, hungry underdog, this workhorse, Brock Lesnar, gets the win. I've watched Brock Lesnar beat the dog shit out of John Cena for 20 plus years now. I did not need to see it again. I do not care. I have been so uninspired with what Brock Lesnar has done for the last number of years as well. I don't need to see Brock Lesnar come in and do less athletic stuff year over year, hit an F5, beat somebody, face him 2 more times, and then he doesn't get beat up and go away. He's not getting put through a barricade and on a stretcher like Roman Reigns. He does something like what we saw with Dan Engler. He F5s the ref, and they'll be like, well, he is suspended indefinitely. Okay, we get it. Brock Lesnar 20 years ago, the fresh Brock Lesnar was one of my favorite performers. He was so athletic and explosive. And upon him coming back, yeah, it's cool. Former UFC champion coming back. Great. Cody Rhodes had to carry him to a few okay matches, and Cody worked his ass off. But when's the last time you had you saw a match from Brock Lesnar and said, damn, that was good? How long has it been? 2022 against Roman? Like take 7? Took him 7 tries before they had a great one? It was 9. It was not. I'm sorry. I gave them too much credit. I wouldn't count the Fatal 4-Way. Too many ingredients there. But it took them like 7 or 8 tries before they had a really great match. And then they're like, all right, let's get that out of here. Let's move on. Before that, last one-on-one match that you watched with Brock Lesnar and you said, damn, that was incredible. Him and Rollins, maybe. SummerSlam was okay. It was pretty good. The last one that I was like, damn, that was great. Probably Bryan Danielson, 2018. He had a good one against Finn Balor. I am well past the point of big guy does F5 rawr. I'm well past the need for that. You know what I mean? Sarah Noble says possibly my new worst match of the year. My God. I wouldn't put it in my worst match of the year. Like from an execution standpoint, like whatever, it was okay. And Viral Sport Moments News, Sports, and Learning says makes no sense for Cena's retirement tour. Only 4 dates left, and it was a waste. Sean, any word on Brock's future bookings? I don't have a lot of insight on that. I am going to assume that they do the he is suspended thing because man shows up to work doesn't seem to be like the story for him. But it is so funny when I see people try to big business my ass on that. Like, oh, well, clearly one guy's going to be around in a couple months. He's 48. Will he be around in a few months? Huh? I don't know. And there are some possibly interesting feuds for Brock Lesnar. Gunther was a program they wanted to do. Braun Breaker is a natural one. Jacob Fatu. But I'll tell you what, I've got no interest in seeing Brock Lesnar beat those gentlemen. I am so... I don't know how in 2025 you can watch a Braun Breaker match and see how he moves and the things that he does and still be like, yeah, there's a great need for Brock Lesnar outside of him putting over Braun Breaker. I don't know how you can look at what Obafemi is doing in 2025 and say, got to have that Brock back unless Brock is putting over Obafemi. If this is a vehicle to get Obafemi to whoop Brock's ass, well, at least there's a means to the end, right? Alex says, I see Brock pulled the I got to get out of here as fast as possible tonight. And what a joke. One of the final matches for Cena. Brock can eat an L. His win-loss record is irrelevant to most. Hope he's gone for good now, but I'm sure he'll have a new trilogy soon. Like, to me, a situation where Brock Lesnar should have won was when he came back in 2012 and John Cena beat him then. That would have made more sense to me. These two people meeting at the end of the road, I don't particularly care who wins. Like, I'm not like, rawr, Brock lost. It's just, they brought Brock back. He absolutely squashed John Cena. I'm sure it's going to be the, does he still have it? Can he even make it through here type of thing? I have been well past the need for Brock Lesnar unless he's going to work with, somebody that he hasn't worked with before and does something to help them. But I'm sure they'll do a suspension. And Kim Chi, I'm not going to read that super chat. You can send another comment. I'm not going to make light of things like that, especially in the name of a sponsor. We would get dropped in a heartbeat. G. Alexander says, do you think with people canceling their Disney, Hulu, ESPN subscription over Jimmy Kimmel, it will affect viewership? No, I think if you were pretty well in the $30 boat on WWE, you're going to stay in it. I don't think a wealth of people are in on the package. Like, it's such a more expensive package now that I think you're pretty much either in or you're out on that. The Vision defeated the Usos. I thought maybe the Usos would win this as they're reunited. I do have an interview coming out with the Usos. My first one I've ever done with them. But the Vision ends up winning. I think Braun Breaker is going to be one of those guys that just doesn't get injured. You know how like Jericho never gets injured, but for way different reasons. I think that, by the way, sorry, let me reset this. I think Braun Breaker is just more tough than the ground. I think the ground will hurt before him, but the Vision were the favorites in this match at MyBookie AG. Check out our friends at MyBookie AG. Our lock picks all hit on MyBookie.ag. I'm making some big bets this weekend on the NFL games. Bet on the Bills this week. I bet on the Bengals this week. Only dropped one so far, the Josh Allen 2 TDs. I thought that maybe he would get across the goal line a couple times. Didn't happen. But we had 5 for 5 on our, or actually we had all the lock picks hit tonight. We didn't have all the picks because John Cena was a favorite. So if you bet on Brock Lesnar, you walked away with some money there. You could also walk away with some money on some of the very, very close odds on some of the AEW stuff. But right now you get a $50 bonus with a $100 deposit at MyBookie AG, or a $100 bonus with a $200 deposit. Bet on anything, anytime, anywhere. NFL season, that's my go-to. I'm loving putting money on these NFL games. And they got slot games. You can bet with Bitcoin. They've got a great support system there. We only want you to bet what you can, and please bet responsibly. But we're going to be giving you the odds throughout all these from MyBookie AG as well. The Vision defeat the Usos as the favorites, but Brock Lesnar, the underdog, in the MyBookie odds, beat John Cena. We had special ref LA Knight. He did not give a damn. Did not give a damn. He was letting them hit each other with chairs, all that stuff. Jay busted his own head open. Was that finish always the Vision? As best I know. And Ryan says, did Jay knock himself loopy? Because, man, he stumbled and bloody skull Vikings. I hope not, buddy. It's going to be an ugly-ass game tomorrow, Ryan. It's going to be disgusting. Check out my Common Bingles W post show. I think the finish was supposed to be the Vision. Speaking of the Vision, they were supposed to be at Media Day yesterday and got pulled to do SmackDown. So that's an interesting approach, but this is fine. This is good. I could have very well been on Raw, honestly, but I think they had already made the decision over a week ago to not do the Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax, Jade Cargill match. I heard Tiffany's fine. That's what I heard. But like Jimmy's dive outside, Braun's big shoulder block. Some fun spots in this match, and it furthered the LA Knight thing. This one's okay. I'm digging this feud. It could have been on Raw. Meet Norma says, I cackled when I heard that Brock won. We call it a vanilla fumble. All Out was a hoot. Forgot to eat my buffalo wings during that ladder match. Good Lord. Meet Normus, you're going to hate me. I'm not a big wings guy. I'm not a big sauced wings guy. Seasoned wings, I can get with, but I like a good chicken breast more than anything. So here's a free plug in Indianapolis. Every time I go to Indianapolis, I am eating at the Eagle. They have the best fried chicken I've ever had, and they have this amazing hot honey. Dry rub wing guy. Yep, that's me. Listen, man, I'm a messy eater, and I'm embarrassed about how messy of an eater I am. And my wife, I love her. She's good to me, but like she's a clean freak, like a neat freak. And listen, sometimes I leave a little bit of mess behind after I eat. And she hit me, listen to me, a hard R into where I thought this was a slur and an insult. She looked at me and she goes, you eat like a rodent. It was like a capital R that she uncorked on my ass. And I was like, what did you just say to me? Like, it was an insult. She meant something behind it. And she was like, no, it's not serious. I was like, that was serious. Like, it was like Ricardo Rodriguez coming out there like, rodent. I was like, what? I'm not that messy. Damn. Stephanie Vecker defeated Io Sky to be the new women's champion. Yeah, boy. Put some money on this one on my bookie AG as well. Stephanie Vecker was the favorite. Not too heavy. You were able to make a little bit of money on this. I think that the cap was 25 on this, and I still made 20 on it. This was a fantastic match. They got 20 plus minutes, as they should, as they absolutely should. There was a great element of this match of Io Sky getting her knees worked over and having them exposed. And then when Io went for that moonsault and the knees were exposed, it just added a little bit more. Crowd loved the Devil's Kiss. They absolutely loved the Devil's Kiss. Of course they did. When I talked to her about it yesterday, she was like, it's like the 4,000th time I've been asked, but it's over. People like it, etc. There was a phenomenal springboard dive from Stephanie as well. And she had to wait on this, man. Like, she has had a roller coaster like 16 months. She, had her contract expire. Then she worked Forbidden Door and had a great match and got contract offers and went to NXT and did incredibly well and got called up to the main roster. Missed TV. It wasn't on TV a lot. Was supposed to get this moment at Clash in Paris. Maybe she was. We don't know. But she got it today, beating Io Sky, who WWE clearly puts an awful lot into. Puts a lot into it. The post show said that Stephanie was really sick recently. So she mentioned that at Media Day, that she's feeling better. I was like, okay, all right then, that's good. She did what Lady Frost calls the frostbite, which is a move that, gosh, we saw in WWF in like 1995 by Chaparita Asari, also known as Masami Watanabe. But like, if you go back to Survivor Series 95, you'll see her pull off this Sky Twister press. They called it a spiral tap, but it's not the same move. I am not as much of a move name geek as I used to be, but the spiral tap's different. It is one where AJ ends up turning and landing on his back. And this is the Lady Frostbite, the Chaparita Asari twisting moonsault. That's what this is. And it looked incredible. It was so good. Afterwards, she celebrated with her father. She embraced Io Sky. This was really good. I mean, Io Sky carries such a cachet right now. She's so over. And she told me, like, in character, she thought Asuka would stay out of it. But that ended up happening. Is a spiral tap splash. Buddy, spiral tap. Luis! Come on now. Hector Garza's El Tornillo. Buddy, friend, I just mentioned 1995. 30 years ago, Luis the Mod. Survivor Series. Look into it. Yeah, boy is a geek for 1995 WWF. She missed it in her match with Aja Kong, a 4 or 5 minute match that had that move, had a spinning back fist, and a package pile driver. 1995 WWF. Look into it. It's where they weren't giving a shit enough to ban moves. It was great. You had Medusa doing German suplexes on the floor to Bull Nakano at Raw After Mania. They let Mabel do a pile driver. Marty Jannetty did a top rope power bomb. I made a supercut. Literally, go to my Twitter and type in 1995 WWF, and you will find a video supercut that I made during the pandemic of just how crazy it was. 95 WWF did not have a wealth of great matches, but it had some cool moves. And no, King of the North, do not bring back top rope power bombs, because when you see that top rope power bomb that Marty Jannetty did, you're going to say, oh, okay, well, I don't know how Chris Candido was supposed to save his back of his head on that one. That was nasty. So, Noise says, wasn't expecting anything for Palooza, but I was still disappointed that with the AJ match, even with the AJ match, I sort of got excited for. Thank God for EO and AEW. Palooza was okay. It was not nearly as good as All Out. Didn't Mabel do a moonsault before we got too fat? You are thinking of someone else. You were thinking of someone else. AJ Lee and CM Punk were the MyBookie AG betting favorites. Your boy put some money on there. Didn't make a lot, but still made some. Easy bet. They beat Rollins and Becky Lynch. There was a lot of, like the first 15 minutes of this was very 1980s, very house show. It was getting the heat, powdering out, wasting time outside the ring, doing all that. This was the longest match of AJ Lee's career. And up there with Becky Lynch as well. There was very elementary tag work. Distraction on the tag, pulling AJ off the apron, all that stuff. They got into it and they had a good one. Now, watching a match like this, you pay attention to the moves a little bit more. It's AJ's first match in 10 years. And outside of her punches, her working punches did not look good at all. Like at one point she did like the Simpsons windmill, and like she hadn't thrown a working punch in a long time. Everything else looked really good. Everything else looked like she really put in that work. The Thez press, there was the Rana out of the power bomb, the spin kick, which I don't remember her doing a wheel kick like that. I'm sure some Diva stands will correct me, but the slide out trip, crossbody off the top as well. Her offense looked really good outside of those punches. There was a hilarious assisted slice spread where she missed the connection on the cravat, but it was a sliced bread where CM Punk assists AJ over and she moonsaults onto Becky, and CM Punk freaking launched her. I bet you when they go back and talk about that match, she's going to be like, easy. It was so good. She flipped backwards like 234 miles an hour. It was so good. The Tornado DDT looked good. Shining Wizard looked good. There was a Black Widow that I was like, oh no, she didn't quite get that. But it was a setup for the disarm her. Then Black Widow gets on Becky and Seth. Rollins ends up like pushing her away, and Punk does the curb stomp. That is like the WWE thing. Steal a move, do somebody else's move, etc. There were in stereo pedigrees. Listen, I used to be a very big moves geek, so anytime people would do new moves, I'd go update their 2K, or not 2K, it was like SmackDown versus Raw profiles then. So I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, put a pedigree on Becky's now. There was a hilarious spot where AJ got a sharpshooter, or Becky got a sharpshooter on Seth. They looked like they were having the most fun in the world, man. They looked like they were having a great time. And I like that. I admire that. They looked like they were enjoying themselves here. Especially Seth Rollins and Becky, who did not like CM Punk. I don't know if CM Punk liked Seth Rollins, but they got together, and you could tell they enjoyed themselves, and I thought had a very entertaining, fun match with a lot of cool spots. I thought this was very enjoyable. The table spot was wild. It like broke down in 3 parts. Oh man. But yeah, I enjoyed the match. I liked it. AJ Lee switched to a grounded Black Widow as well. I'm glad to see her back. There's not a lot of people left to bring back. She was like a big one, right? Like she was a major one to bring back, and she looks great. She's performing well. She's going to get some opportunities. I would imagine she goes overseas and does some of the live events next year or next month, rather, because you get her some live event reps there as well, which, yeah, I mean, Hook is a person that I was told earlier, like, hey, he hasn't been wrestling a lot, but he has been getting like some dark matches, so to speak. Okay, Twan Max says she always did the spin kick. Alvarez and Meltzer would always laugh because she'd fall on her butt after hitting it. Well, it clocked this time. Clocked pretty well this time. So as I look, obviously, you know, there's Raw, there's SmackDown, all that. I would get her some dark matches on some of those shows as well. Get her some reps that way, even if she's not wrestling. But you do have October 15th house show, October 17th, 18th house shows. I'd be surprised if she wasn't working those and, you know, getting those reps in. Bear Hudson says, when Roman Reigns returned, which title do you think would interest him more, defeating Seth Rollins or reclaiming the title he lost at Mania? My brother and I have a bet riding on your answer. Who wrote him off? The Vision? Is that what happened? Probably that, because he always does the thing where he gets written off TV. I would imagine he's going to just come back and do stuff with the Vision. Not even necessarily Seth. Unless he's going to be around for an extended period of time, I don't have any desire to see Roman Reigns win a championship again, like in his career, unless he's going to be around. Now, if he was able to, if he won a Rumble, won a Mania, and then dropped it at SummerSlam or a pay-per-view or a WrestlePalooza or something like that, all right, but I do not want to see another situation where a guy has a championship and it's not defended for 2 months. You know what I mean? And I think they've drawn the Cody thing into the dirt for a while. Don't want to see that. So I would say more likely Seth Rollins. The Undertaker comes out. We hear the Undertaker's timely dong. 8 hours into a wrestling day. And he's out there having this awkward conversation with Stephanie McMahon, of whom he once abducted and crucified. And she's like, yeah. Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark. I'm like, this dude abducted you. He conspired with your father to abduct you and crucify you to get one over on Stone Cold Steve Austin. Why are you clapping for him? There's some things you don't forgive. Man, if I were Paul Levesque and I ever got into an argument with Stephanie McMahon, I'd be like, you let a crucifixion go, but you can't let this argument go? Either way, there was a very touching segment where Stephanie McMahon is told that she will be the first announced inductee into the 2026 Hall of Fame. I happen to know quite a few people that work directly with Stephanie McMahon in the office, and she was, I don't want to say idolized, but revered. Like they really loved her. She treated people well, from what I understood. Stephanie is one of those people that you never think of being in the Hall of Fame, right? You never think of that, but it makes sense from an on-screen perspective. She was involved in a lot of stuff as their chief brand officer. She did an awful lot of stuff. Sarah Noble says she's going to get inducted by Vince. I'm sure of it. I sure as hell hope not. I was surprised to even see him mentioned in that video, but also there are some timelines of which Stephanie left the company that certainly made it seem like she wanted to disassociate herself from that perspective. Get in your super chats, get in your humper chats. We are heading down the home stretch. And please subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. Outside of the ad reads, I've tried to keep the plugs at a minimum, and I'm trying to keep the plugs at a minimum on all of our shows now this week. So I'll just trust you guys. Support you boys. Visit Fightful.com as well. Viral Moment News, Sports, and Learning says, AJ was only around for just under 4 years. Glad she's getting a check, but I'm not sure I understand the hype. Reminds me of Paige, just a nostalgia pop. I could not disagree with this more, my friend. AJ Lee, at one point, was one of the most over performers in the world. She was the main character of WWE Raw. She was the most interesting performer on the show as well. She did an awful lot of things. She helped an awful lot of people. She, won championships and all that, but she was somebody that really, really made the most out of her minutes and helped push forward an environment of which fans demanded more out of the women's booking. And I've said this before on the show. I want to see her be able to enjoy the fruits of her labor that she has never been able to enjoy. So, I mean, I understand that it was very short-lived, but man, she was massively over and inspired a lot of people and inspired an entire generation of fans. As you can see, like Kiera Hogan and Roxanne Perez and Bailey's marking out for her and all this stuff. She was very influential. Cody Rhodes defeated Drew McIntyre. One of the reasons we were told this main evented on FightfulSelect.com. They wanted the pomp and circumstance of a main event championship match. Cody Rhodes gets the win. Man, Drew McIntyre has been the glue of this company for a while. He got his time off and all that stuff, but it's just good to see him being put in these types of spots. I'm very happy about that. And Cody Rhodes is a big match guy, man. He is QB1. He is the main event guy. He is the dude. That's him. You put him in a main event, he's going to deliver. I thought they had a good match here as well. Cody Rhodes is like Rasta from that Saturday Night Slam Masters game. And if you've never played it, go play it. He's like the version of Blanca, which is ironic since Cody Rhodes is Guile. But this character on Slam Masters would do a cutter or a neck breaker, depending on which direction you hit it from. And he would jump all the way across the ring, hit it, connect it. That's Cody with the Cody cutter. That son of a bitch will fly out of anywhere and hit that damn move. And I don't know how he does it when your momentum is going that way. You got to run into a real sirloin beef son's a bitch, I guess, and then hit it that angle. I am consistently impressed with how that happens. I loved the spot into the announce table where Drew McIntyre went and did the Claymore and ended up taking out the table. I enjoyed that. I thought this was a solid match. Now, I mean, everybody online was burying AJ. I don't want to say everybody. A lot of people were burying AJ Lee, CM Punk. I enjoyed that from a fun perspective a little bit more. I liked the Io Sky Stephanie match. I thought it was match of the night on WWE. Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre was a good match to me. But I mean, AJ and Punk exemplified fun to me. Stephanie and Io was just a banger of a match. And Cody and Drew, I think it could have stood for some better build. And unfortunately, it was kind of hindered by the fact that Cody, had to go out and do Street Fighter, which, boys at Fightful Select reported that He also may have helped get Hiroki Goto a role as E Honda. I mean, he does have a role as E Honda. We heard Cody Rhodes probably had a little bit to do with that as well. I love that when he kicked the table, he being Drew McIntyre, it caused his leg to give out later as well. Also, a spot that I forgot to mention earlier with Io, after they hugged, she immediately went back to selling. That was so good. That was such good stuff, man. Such good. So good. Drew has posted a cycle of suffering builds character around Drew McIntyre as well. Jay Miller says, I guess ESPN is okay with Lee Fitting working at WWE. Well, they don't have much of a say in the matter. They did let him go because of, I think, the misconduct issues and all that. And him getting them banned from the Emmys for a while. But I asked about that, and I was told that he is the executive, or he is the director, and that's not going to change, is what I was told. I wasn't given a lot of color on that one, but I do ask. I absolutely asked. Whew, guys, I am cooked. We are 2 hours and 6 minutes into this review. I want to thank all of you who joined and sent super chats. If you somehow, after starting watching wrestling at 2 p.m. Eastern today, probably some of you watched CMLL Anniversary last night as well, 10 and a half hours later, haven't had enough, boy, are you in luck. Sour Graps has a review over on FightfulSelect.com. Grapsody is right back here on Sunday. Lots to talk about. King of the North says, overall thoughts on the show, main takeaways. AEW, too long, too many matches. Even though 1 hour it was technically Collision. That was that, and the third hour last week were or the third hour on Dynamite are technically making up Collision. Too long, too many matches. Love the start time. AEW had the much better in-ring show and shocking moments. WWE had an okay debut on ESPN. A very fun return for AJ Lee. Phenomenal crowning of Stephanie. Thought that was good. The Brock thing, I hope he feuds with somebody new. What commentators would you trade between WWE and AEW? Ooh. Okay. I would actually have Michael Cole in AEW. I would have Excalibur on NXT. I would have Taz on. I want to hear Taz and Corey Graves needle at each other. That's what I want to hear. Those are the ones. And Vic Joseph probably on something else. But I want to hear Cole and Bryan Danielson on commentary as well. Oh, guys, I am exhausted. I want to say thank you to everybody who checked out our coverage. It means so much. I want to thank Luis for being here, moderating the show, keeping the notes. I want to thank our writing team, our social team. Follow us on Espanol. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, all that. Joel Pearl did a great job sending us videos. Those are on Scraps, youtube.com/FightfulScraps, as well as our YouTube Shorts thing. I want to thank our social team, Kate, Kyler, all the guys over there doing that, and, of course, our writing team. I am exhausted. Time to watch the Bengals tomorrow. Go check out Common Bengals W, my little side project. We're out.